welcome to Little Blue Pot and the 31 Days of Mental Health. Today I'm talking about triggers. I've done this in one of my BPD videos, but I want to stress that triggers can affect people with mental illness no matter what type of mental illness you have, whether it be PTSD or not. Triggers can affect actually even people maybe that don't even have mental health problems, but maybe have had something that happened in their past, maybe trauma or abuse that has, can every now and then bring back flashbacks. So what is a trigger? Trigger is something that sets off a memory tape or a flashback, transporting the person back to the original event or their original trauma. So something happens, you maybe were involved in a car accident, for example. Let's keep it nice. Well, not nice, but you know what I mean. You're involved in a car accident. And obviously you maybe had some physical injuries, but after that you may replay the car crash over and over again. You may relive it, you may have nightmares, you may just have flashbacks, you may, when you see a similar car, it may bring it back, the sound of a car. Maybe if you're watching something on telly and hear a crash, that may bring it back. So it's kind of like you've got this memory in your head that is suddenly brought to the surface when you are triggered. Now it could be anything. Everyone has their own triggers. In fact, there's so many types of triggers, there's so many different types of people, we're all individual, that not everyone will have the same triggers. My triggers may be very different to yours may be different from your friends. So but triggers are very personal and different things trigger different people. Excuse me, looking down. The survivor may begin to avoid situations or stimuli that triggered the flashback. So it might be that you end up, because of this car crash, you can't go in a car again, or it might be that you can't be a passenger in a car again if you were a passenger when the crash happened. So it really does have an impact on your life, and you can be kind of just sitting there watching the telly or reading or doing something, and then all of a sudden this flashback will come back, and it might make you jump, it might make you cry, it might make you scared. It, depending on how you originally felt at that trauma, will depend on how you feel when you are triggered by whatever stimuli is around you. So if you reacted scared at the time of the trauma, then you'll be scared in that flashback. If you were really, really distressed, upset, almost in a dysphoria, then it might be that you go back to that place as well. When we are triggered, it is because of our 5 senses. So our sight, our hearing, our taste, our touch, and our smell. They all bring with them different triggers. So it could be, for example, I'll give you one of my triggers. When I was younger, there was lots of anger in the house, lots of slamming doors, raised voices, that kind of thing. So, and when I've been in maybe abusive relationships and they've been shouting, aggressive, slamming doors. So basically I can be quite jumpy to banging noises, slamming doors. If people start raising their voices too much, even if it's fun and they're laughing and joking, I can start to get very triggered, very kind of flashback, that reminds me of that reminds me of that, and I might have to take myself away to calm down. So like I say, everyone has their own different triggers, and it's a combination of senses. You could have a mixture of sight and sound that bring it together. I once had something really awful happen to me to a particular piece of music, and I couldn't listen to that piece of music for quite a long time. I can now, but yeah, again, so it could be music, it could be the smell of food, it could be the touch of someone, maybe the way they hold your hand. Whatever it is, try and think what your triggers are. So I'm going to go through some examples now. So sight, often someone who so these are examples of triggers, sorry guys. So using your sight, this is one way that we can be triggered, through our sight. So for example, if we have this whole example here is if you have been abused, if you have been whether abused in your family or in a relationship or something like that. So it's a bit of a sensitive subject, but I think I wanted to tackle it in this way because it really does get the point across about what triggers are. So for example, sight. Often someone who resembles the abuser has similar traits or objects. So it could be someone that has similar clothing, a voice, smile, and when you see that person, you are triggered and it takes you back to that time, reminding you of your original abuser. So another one, any situation where someone else is being abused. So it could be seeing it on the telly. It could be, you know, even someone's facial expression could trigger you to remind you of that abuse. I'm not going to list all the site because you can kind of get where I'm going with that. So sound, anything that sounds like anger, like I said, for me, raised voices, slamming doors, banging, shouting, clashing, all of that triggers me to make me feel on edge, make me feel like something is about to happen. And that's what it's like. It's almost like a PTSD flashback. So yeah, so sound, anything that might be in place. Sorry, sirens, foghorns, music, car door slamming. So, for example, going back to the car crash, if you heard sirens approaching you from like paramedics and the emergency services, it might be that when you hear a siren again, it triggers you. Okay. Smell, anything that resembles the smell of abuser. So it could be tobacco, alcohol, maybe a particular aftershave or perfume. Any smells that resemble the place or situation where the abuse occurred. So it could be, you could smell, you know, cooking, maybe smell something being cooked in the oven, and when you smell that, it takes you back. So you get where I'm going with triggers, I hope. Just do a couple of other ones. So touch, anything that resembles resembles the abuse or things that happened. So it could be someone standing too close to you, or the way someone approaches you. Like I say, I don't like people right in my personal space because it triggers me, reminding me of days of bullying and things like that. So it literally, you know, you could have someone come too close to you and then you'll be like, well, that reminds me of so and so. And taste, so anything that, you know, it could be alcohol, it could be tobacco, certain foods that take you back to your original trauma. Now, I would suggest writing down a list of your triggers. I don't want you to be triggered doing it, so if you start to feel, oh, I don't like this, then stop. But I would say it's really good to be aware of what triggers you, what triggers your depression, what triggers your anxiety, what particular sounds, things like that take you back, because the more you expose yourself to those sounds, the less likely they are to give you these triggers, for example. But I would say just make that list and remind yourself that these things do trigger you. So if you know you're easily triggered by a particular place or an event, then either don't go there or try sort of gentle exposure techniques to kind of say, okay, I've done it for 5 minutes, can I do it for 10 minutes next time? But again, if it really triggers you, then don't do it. The whole point is to understand your triggers, it's not to make you feel more poorly. I hope that has explained triggers and mental illness. I will put all the information in the description below. Please comment, please tell me about your triggers. What triggers you? Do you like me? Do you hate bangs? Do you hate crashing? Or is there particular smells that trigger you in any way? Whatever you want to share with me, please put it in the space below. Always good to hear from you guys. This has been Triggers. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye now.